I am a chair.
Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Weird My Newsroom, a series I do weekly where I talk about all the new releases, all the trailers, and all the news, as well as an odd time some special segments of course. Well, without further ado, let's get on to talking about what's come out this week then, shall we?
Think, Mark, think!
So starting off this week's new releases with an all-new high school comedy and LGBTQ story that packs quite a punch in both physical harm and comedy, with the newest film of Bottoms. Now this film will follow high school best friends PJ and Jose, who decide to start a new fight club for girls in order to meet other women, hopefully for both of them to lose their virginities. But they soon find themselves in over their heads when their most popular students start beating themselves up, all in the name of self-defense. Now, this film has been very well received and has been labeled as the best comedy film of this year. It's praised as well for its themes and its female empowerment, and if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can do so now as available in cinema. As for the TV shows of this week, we have the big and most anticipated one released to come out this week. We finally have the first episode of the new season of Invincible. Now this series will follow on from the end of the first season after an earth-shattering betrayal, and will follow Mark as he tries to get his life back on track as he makes some new adversaries and allies, all while trying to suppress his most greatest fear that he may become a lot like his father of Omni-Man. Now, the reception on this season, similar to the first season, has been very strongly received from its plot, its animation, as well as its action scenes. And if you want to check it out, then you can catch the first episode right now on Amazon Prime, with a new episode releasing every Friday up until, I think, early next year. I think they confirmed at least the last 3 or 4 episodes is next year, so we'll see what happens.
It's time to get on your feet and get to moving as we are joining the money-loving Wario in an all-new game in the popular Warioware series with Warioware. Move it.
Sorry about that. Now, this new game will see Wario and friends take a trip on vacation and will go into blending with a lot of very quick-fire minigames to progress the story and have you moving and grooving in all different ways using the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Now, the reception on this has been well received, as has most of the other entries in the series. Some critiques is basically it is quite short. Well, to be fair, a lot of these Wario games do tend to be a bit quite short, but they are good party games. And if you want to get moving and grooving yourself, then you could do so on the Nintendo Switch.
Man, get money for Wario. Wah.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me, punk. As you are heading to the mean streets of Detroit with the Steel Force of the Law, as with an all-new game based on the classic 80s action film with Robocop Rogue City. This new game will take place after the events of the second Robocop movie, and you will take on the robotic force of the law as you clean up the mean streets of Detroit and find out who is the rumored new guy that is a biggest possible new crime boss of the city. Now, the reception on this game has been very well received and has been seen as a proper successor to the original film, as well for story and world building, with some graphical issues being the most of the critiques, and maybe some issues or something, but I don't know. But if you want to bring justice into your own hands, then you can do so now on PlayStation 5, PS4, Series X and S, and PC. And now for something that has not seen a major release since the very anticipated teaser of a looping hallway got turned into a pachinko machine, and the company drank someone's tears, as we return to the long dormant series of Silent Hill, with the new game of Silent Hill Ascension. Now, this new game mixes Silent Hill canon with an all-new audience-led decision-based game, similar to like Until Dawn kind of thing, or the Dark Pictures anthologies, that will spread out over the course of a few months and will follow 2 families that are slowly becoming ruined by death and mysticism. Now, the game right now has been heavily panned for feeling very messy and full of gotcha-type assets in the form of like a battle pass system for like a sort of an audience-based Twitch chat kind of thing, and of course a case that the audience participation has led to many NSFW problems. Apparently there's a lot of things involving a certain reproductive fluid been spread around a lot in the comments, what I've seen online, and basically the restricted comments now on the whole thing, so it's all falling apart. Now, each of this is a series is run under a limited time thing as well, so if you want to check it out as well, it is available I believe on iOS and Android, and I believe it's on the official website as well. I'll probably put it down in the link in the description. And with that, that's all of the new releases that we have for this week.
Monkey.
Now, to start off the trailers for this week is with a series I was thinking was all done and ended on a very high note. Now, you may have not known is that one of my all-time favorite trilogies that has come out in recent memory is of course the reboot Planet of the Apes trilogy. As it started off really good, the sequel topped it, and I feel the finale was on par with, or even slightly better, to make it an excellent trilogy. All done with the story of following of Caesar and how he led the apes to freedom, basically. Now, this new film will continue the legacy of the ape that started all from his the remaining son, I believe, with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now this new one will see the apes become the dominant species and humans being left to a level of near extinction and evolve to a more feral state. But when a new leader of Proximus Caesar tries to stop the teachings of the ape that led them to freedom, a young ape named Noah, and possibly Cornelius, depending on how long after the last film this is set, will go on a journey to find freedom and stop the death of the teachings with the help of a young human woman named May. Now, I was skeptical when they announced this, and given that the series ended on a really high note and that the director of Matt Reeves was not returning for this, I was a bit skeptical, of course, but I gave it a look and I think this looks pretty decent and visually great looking so far, but I'll have to see how it turns out. And you can follow this new kingdom will rise or fall when this releases in cinemas on May 24th of next year. And now for a new film that will have many men going around the time, that's literally me with any film that has the main male lead in it, and this is with the new action film of The Fall Guy. Now this film will be based on an 80s television series of the same name and will follow stuntman and Colt, in this played by Ryan Gosling, working on a new film of the world's biggest A-list star, in this played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and being directed by an ex-partner of his who's played in this by Emily Blunt. But when the movie star goes missing and the film is threatened of being shut down, it is up to Colt to become the real action star, find the missing actor, and save the film. Now this does look like it will be a very entertaining action film, and going off this is being directed by some of the best action films director of David Leitch, who did John Wick, Bullet Train, and Deadpool 2. I'm sure this will be a lot of fun of action when this film drops now on March 1st of next year. And now for an all-new Titan-based Wreckathon. We are heading over to the company of Toho for an all-new look at their newest kaiju film of Godzilla Minus One. Now, this will be set after the events of World War II and see the Titan cause absolute chaos and destruction across the land of Japan, the war-torn Japan, of course. Now, this seems to be relating back to the more big-budget form of the original 1950s one that started it all, and what I've already seen from basically one of the greatest game developers of Hideo Kojima has already said about this movie, it seems to be a really good film, and we'll basically get a really good in-depth look at this movie when it releases in just about 3 weeks' time on December 1st. And now to end the trailers for this week, and coming out of nowhere on just Friday afternoon there, we have gotten an all-new look at the next live-action series coming to us from the MCU. Initially planned for release at the end of this month, but was delayed into the new year, and we have the first trailer for the Marvel series of Echo. Now this will follow on from the character's introduction in Hawkeye as she returns to her hometown to come to terms with her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace her family and community in the midst of chaos in Hell's Kitchen. Now this series was one that was a little divided, but this now is going for a more mature rating, similar to the classic Netflix series of like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Punisher, all those good ones basically. So it could be good. I'm thinking it could lead to a new era of MCU, maybe, who knows, but we'll talk more about that later. But you can catch the entire series for yourself when it all drops on January 10th of next year. And with that, that's all the new trailers that we got for this week.
We've got to have money.
Now we start the news off this week with a little bit of some tech news courtesy of the social media company of Meta, or formerly known as Facebook. Now, as you know, social media has taken over a lot of our lives, especially in the last decade of the 2010s, as it has grown from something of a little bit of a niche thing to a multi-billion-dollar business of companies. But it's not always been without its issues, from the likes of security, bots, possible scams, offensive material, or simply being bought by rich people on the verge of complete breakdown mess because they don't know how to run the company. And in particular, one of the biggest focal points, of course, that most people really don't like on these things is with ads. And it only seems at this rate that any of these social media apps is around 80 to 90% of ads for all different things. Like I'm seeing weird ones for like, you know, to have a career in posting feet pics. It's weird. It's the only case where it's like 70 to 80% of it's just ads, and then 10 to 20% is like just actual content. And it's caused people to be annoyed or rarely see the point of using these social media apps. And now I may be providing a solution that may divide many. As it was recording on Monday, Meta announced that they are planning a subscription-based monthly service for Facebook and Instagram to provide an ad-free service. Now, I can see where they're going with this, of course, is going the case about, you know, Elon Musk doing a $1 a year to tweet, or the case of Netflix and Disney Plus providing ads versions or ad-free versions of their subscription-based services. They're more expensive for ad-free, but you might get cheaper ones for ads. Who knows? But I can see the case where I can see where they're going with it, but also see a case that this could cause a bit of conniption where they can find loopholes to make ads into just normal-looking videos and basically continue to make ads for some of that, but I don't know. Now, I have no idea when this is going to happen or how much it's going to cost, but once I hear anything, I'll let you know in a future episode. But what are your thoughts on all this presented here, and do you think in itself is a good or bad idea? In particular, how much do you think it's going to cost? Let me know what your opinions are on it down below in the comments, and we'll discuss about it. Now, this one was actually going to be in my initial last episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, but I felt the case because that tonal shift one that I was doing, I felt it didn't really fit right. I was going to do a little edit piece into it, but I felt it was better off more to put it in a proper episode. Tragically, last week we lost an iconic name in sitcom history, and that was with the actor of Matthew Perry, who passed away suddenly last week at the age of 54. Now, to many, he was known of his iconic role as Chandler Bing, the funny member of the group of the hit sitcom of Friends. And besides his well-known role, he was also known for his being an iconic symbol for helping many with addiction to painkillers and alcohol, as he had been through it himself, and many respect him for how he has presented it and helped thousands or millions of people over the years with, getting through their addiction and situation. Now, he passed away at his home last Saturday evening from a cardiac arrest when he was found in his pool. He found his jacuzzi. It's unknown whether or not it was from drugs or anything, from painkillers or anything, but we have no idea. Now, while he may have passed on from his life, his legacy will live on in the show, as well as his helping with people getting over addiction, and hopefully he will rest in peace. And we give a little moment of silence to him. Now, this next news story, I might actually make into its own little separate video down the line, maybe in the next couple of days, because it is quite a big, chunky piece. Because we're heading back to the world of superheroes. And in particular, we're talking about the MCU, as we are delving into some info provided to us for an all-new think or hit piece from the publication of Variety. Now, from the article, there is a few bits of discussion they have brought up, and I'll be delving in. I'll probably give a big quick summary of some pieces they talked about in this, going on to help from their findings. So, starting off, they're going to talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is, of course, to do with Jonathan Majors. As mentioned last week in my last episode video, one of the films that was removed from a release schedule was with Magazine Dreams, a film starring Majors in what could have been an awards contender film. Now, the reason for this and the dilemma is to do with his legal issues, as he will be heading to court in 3 weeks' time for some domestic charges of assault that he was arrested for way back in late March of this year. Now, if he was just a minor character in the MCU, it could be easily recast, like how they did with Don Cheadle as War Machine, but the issue stems the fact that they made him the next big bad after Thanos for his new saga of the multiverse thing, and supposedly will be much more of an issue with how rumors of circulating around about how they built him up in the final episode of season 2 of Loki. Now, it remains to be seen how that will turn out next week, but they have also considered that they may replace him with a bigger threat in the form of possibly Doctor Doom. But it will need to be seen how this will all turn out in the end. Next is to do with the upcoming release of The Marvels, as there's some concern from its month of reshoots and the director needing to work on another film at the same time in the middle of post-production. They're worried the film will underwhelm, as it's projected for around a 75 to 90 million opening, which is a lot lower compared to the 153 million Captain Marvel opened with in 2019, and Multiverse of Madness 185 from last year. Now, I'm sure they may come down to appeal and word of mouth and reception, but I see it as being a possible box office earn in the long run, given the quietish month. Like, most real competition is probably Wish, Napoleon, and Hunger Games. That's pretty much the only really big ones. Another comes with the deal of visual effects teams and how they've been overwhelmed with so many deadlines and projects all at once that has become to a point that they are working many long days and hours and seems to not be up to level of top quality they were once at years ago. And this was the reason they filed to unionize about 2 months ago in September or late August, and hopefully we'll see a bit of a fix producing level content at any given time. Which also brings up the question about the amount of content, as well as been the sense of focusing solely on the film side initially was all great praise. When it came to the new phase, it branched into TV on Disney Plus with many shows like WandaVision, She-Hulk, Loki, Hawkeye, and many more that it gave much more convoluted for many fans, that the sense of superhero fatigue really started to show a whole lot more. Now, if it was a case of reducing the amount of content and spacing it out more than having so much in a single year, it may help many of the other issues that has presented itself anyway, but we'll have to see how that turns out. And lastly, one of the big rumored ones to come out of this is that they've considered as well of doing an all-new Avengers film with the original cast again, which would revive the deceased Avengers of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, as well as making Chris Evans' Captain America younger again. Now, this is just some speculation on that front, and that will help a little with the Majors problem, but it needs to be said how this will all turn out in the end, as I said. Now, there is a lot of the whole article, and I want to give a bit of a more of a whole separate piece to it to talk about it. I might do it during the week. I might even do it live and discuss discuss with people, but it seems a little bit of an interesting discussion. But what are your own thoughts on this, and in particular, how would you go about improving the issues they are finding themselves in? Let me know what you think of it all down below in the comments, and let's have a discussion about them. And to just cap off all the news stories this week is with some announcements of dates for some of the new streaming series coming from two major streamers of Amazon Prime, a story that I actually missed from last week, and HBO, or Max, or whatever the fuck it's called now at this point, with many new release dates, release windows, and planned productions. So we'll start off the one that I missed last week, and this is coming to us from Amazon Prime, and in particular, of an all-new adaptation of a video game in particular. As you may have known from maybe the last 2 or 3 years, we are getting a new adaptation of the long-running popular Bethesda series of Fallout from Amazon itself. And we got a confirmation that's going to be set in California from about a couple of weeks ago from that image that was posted on their socials. Well, now we have an official release date of the D-Day from Leaving the Vaults, as we confirmed last week that the new Fallout television series will be releasing around Easter of next year, and in particular on April 12th, 2024. Now, it's unclear if we will see any form of footage for the series before the end of the year, besides maybe that leaked trailer dropped around the time Starfield was coming out, but I'm sure we'll get a proper look at the new adaptation real soon. I think by Christmas. Who knows? Speaking of video game adaptations, we do have an update to one that came out earlier this year and is, in my opinion, one of the very best adaptations of all time, and that is with The Last of Us Season 2. Now, we've known since the release of the series that the show had got renewed for a second season, which will most likely fill the gap or jump into the plot of the controversial second game. And it was with a big speculation of when exactly we were going to get that in particular, as it was all set up to go at the point, but things got a little bit more all over the place once the writers and actors strikes happened. So it was a case of being a little confusing of when we're going to see it. But there is a little bit of good news for this particular franchise. As it was announced at a recent conference, it was confirmed that we have a planned production start date for the second season of the series, and it looks like they're planning to start shooting in the early new year. Now, it's unclear if this series will do a lot like the first season of being filmed over the course of just 1 year, or give it that the great detail from the showrunners, so I don't know if we will see this series dropping late next year, but most cases it will be seeing a release in early 2025. But in all honesty, I can wait for that and see how they will make the excellent, albeit controversial second game story. But while it be 2025 before we see that, there is one other series that's going to bring the fire next year that will make that wait a little less tedious. That is, of course, the second season of the Game of Thrones prequel of House of the Dragon. Now, we've seen that they have started production on this series back just before the strikes happened. I think they started in March or April, so they got a little bit of it done. And then the writer strikes happened and the actor strikes happened, so it's a case that we don't know how much they actually got done in production. Well, it seems to be a case there might be a good bit along the way, as they've announced an announcement of a release window for the next season, and it seems to be projected for an early summer 2024 release date. Now, it remains to be seen if the likes of this series will be reduced in episode size, or if it will see a delay, or having completed all the post-production and visual effects and everything like that, which to say even they can resume production anytime soon, of course, because the actor strike is still going on. But if anything does come up, I will let you know in a later episode. And lastly, just a little update on another one from HBO. We have an update on when you can expect to see the third season of the Emmy Award-winning series of Euphoria. Now, it was also confirmed that we will not see the next season of this until at least 2025 at the latest, and will be a more film noir style and seen through the eyes of Emmy winner Zendaya's character Rue. Now, it'll have to be seen if they address the sudden death as well of Angus Cloud, but in the new season, but I guess we'll have to find out when that time comes. But what are your thoughts on all of these announcements, and are you excited for any of them in particular? Let me know your own thoughts on them down below in the comments. And with that, of course, now, that is all of the news that we have for this week. Now, before I wrap up this week's episode of Weird Mind, I actually wanted to give a little special segment this week because I haven't done one in a while, and in particular for this week, there's a bit of reason to it. Because I wanted to give a nice little special shout out and congratulations to all the people that I know, a good few friends of mine, who have graduated this week from college. And you know, college is quite a extensive experience, and to many people that may have either taken a year out, did a year of P, made it a PLC course, or working on a master's degree or other forms of degrees, I just want to say a very well done to each and every one of you for getting there. I know it was tough, I know it was a bit of a challenge as college can be, but you stuck it out, and I congratulate and have fucking great praise for you all. So I just want to give the congratulations to Danny, Connor, Sonny, Nathan H, Nathan E, Catherine, Gavin, and Sean. Now, if there's any I have forgotten about, I apologize. If you want to let me know in the description, I will definitely update that, so I'll do a case of that. And, to each and every one of you, a very well done. Now, I know I spent my own 4 years with a few of yous, and it has been a real pleasure working alongside you and call you some very close colleagues of mine. And here's to this being the starting point to many big and great things to you all in the future, and even beyond. And who knows, maybe we even work close with one another again in the future. So we'll have to see how it turns out. Let's just hope for some positives. So yeah, it's a little, nice little special segment, Shadow. If you have any do you want to have for yourself, let me know in the comments or just hit me up. I'll definitely throw them in special segments. But yeah, that's what I like to give.
But I'm done with this game. Go home, go to bed.
And with that, of course, that is the end of episode 24 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my chin-waggling ramblings for yet another lengthy episode. I try to make them shorter, but you know, there's a lot of news. Anyways, just to give a little bit of updates on some stuff. So, I do have 2 new videos that came out this week. One is, of course, just the previous episode of this, if you want to check that one out. I put a lot of effort into that one, just like making it like an 80s retro tape. And the other one is the case of the Halloween episode that was slightly delayed because, you know, some editing process had to be done and I was tired. It's a case of talking about 2 of the worst horror films of this year, me sitting through them, giving my thoughts on things, and giving a proper score to both of them. But you get the gist of it. Updates on some other stuff. I do have 2 reviews I'm going to get done, which is the the Puss in Boots and the Ninja Turtles review, which I'm going to have hopefully done sometime next week. Just have to see it working around work schedules and everything like that kind of thing. I plan to start doing more, get back into the rewatchathon stuff. I do have some ideas, maybe even to do like some, I don't know, maybe like an ASMR piece if you're interested. I'm gonna figure either like doing to a level of close cosplay to what the character in particular doing this one for someone special, and a case of someone talking about some other ideas. Other things, I'm gonna have something for like Christmas. I'm gonna work some other bits, definitely work on the rewatchathon stuff, do more reviews, like probably at least for like Haunting of Venice, eventually the Five Nights at Freddy's, a few other ones. Anyways, it's a case of that. I'll have to do it. I'm gonna release the next one I'm gonna work on is Barbenheimer, just because it's taken a while, and maybe Indiana Jones, because I know that one is also dropping this December, but we'll see that. Other than that, I don't really know what else I have currently coming up, but we'll see what happens with all the releases in November and December, and playing some games, and maybe didn't talk about what to expect next year and stuff. But you know, if it's a case you want to even like collab on some stuff, give some ideas, we can collab on something if you want, or if you want to have some special segment, let me know in the comments below, or hit me up on socials, you know, kind of thing. And yeah, I think I'll leave it with that. Anyway, so if you enjoyed my content, simply like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. My goal is to reach 50 subs by the end of this year. We're about 15 away, so hopefully we can reach that goal. And if you do, I'd be very appreciative. I know it's a small audience and, you know, numbers can vary on a lot of episodes, but I appreciate every single one of your support for all these videos. And yeah, and if you want as well, comment down below all the topics that were discussed today and share it around to people that may not have seen the episodes already, and give your thoughts on things, because I love to hear your thoughts and what other people think as well. So yeah, I hope you all stay being wonderful people, because you all are wonderful people, every single one of you, and have a great day every day doing great and amazing things. And with that, that's where I'll leave. So thank you everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. So take care everybody, goodbye.